Chapter 18 of Because of Winn Dixie. When we got to Gloria Dump's, I told her I had 2 surprises for her, and I asked her which one she wanted to have first, the small one or the big one. Well, the small one, said Gloria. I handed her the lozenge, and she moved it around in her hands, feeling it. Candy? Yes, ma'am, it's called a lozenge. Oh, Lord, I remember these candies. My daddy used to eat them. She unwrapped the lozenge and put it in her mouth and nodded her head. Do you like it? I asked her. It tastes sweet, but it also tastes like people leaving. Do you mean sad? Does it taste like sorrow to you? That's right. It tastes sorrowful but sweet. Now, what's surprise number 2? It's a book, I said. A book? Uh-huh. I'm going to read it out loud to you. It's called Gone with the Wind. Miss Franny said it's a great book. It's about the Civil War. Do you know all about the Civil War? I've heard it mentioned a time or 2, said Gloria, nodding her head and sucking on her lozenge. It's going to take a long time to read this book. There are there's 1,037 pages. Woo-wee, said Gloria, and she leaned back in her chair. Well, we just best get started then. And so I read the first chapter of Gone with the Wind out loud to Gloria Dump. I read it loud enough to keep her ghosts away. I read it, and Gloria listened. And when I was done, she said it was the best surprise she had ever had, and she couldn't wait to hear chapter 2. That night, I gave the preacher one of the litmus lozenges right before he kissed me goodnight. What's this? Well, it's some candy that Miss Franny's great-grandfather invented. The preacher unwrapped it and put it in his mouth. And after a minute, he started rubbing his nose and nodding his head. Do you like it? It has a particular flavor, he said. Root beer? Something else. Strawberry? That too, but there's still something else. It's odd. I could see the preacher getting further and further away. He was hunching up his shoulders, lowering his chin, and getting ready to pull his head back into his shell. It tastes almost a little melancholy, he said. Melancholy? What's that? It's another word for sad, said the preacher, and he rubbed his nose some more. It makes me think of your mother. Winn Dixie sniffed at the candy wrapper in the preacher's hand. It tastes sad. It must be a bad batch. No, that's the way it's supposed to taste, Dad. Litmus came back from the war and the whole family was dead. His daddy died fighting, his mama and his sisters died from a disease, and the Yankees burned down his house. And Litmus was very sad. He was extremely sad, and what he wanted more than anything in the world was something sweet. And so he built a candy factory, and he made these, and he put all of his sadness that he was feeling into the candy. My goodness, said the preacher. Winn Dixie snuffed the candy wrapper out of the preacher's hand and started chewing on it. Give me that, I said to Winn Dixie, but he wouldn't give it up. I had to reach inside his mouth and pull it out. You can't eat candy wrappers. The preacher cleared his throat. I thought he was going to say something important, maybe like tell me another thing that he remembered about my mama. But what he said was, Opal, I had a talk with Miss Dewberry the other day, and she said that Stevie says that you called him a bald-headed baby. It's true, I said. I did it. But he calls Gloria Dump a witch all the time, and then he calls Otis some weird names, and once he even said that his mama said that I shouldn't spend all my time with those old ladies. That's what he said. I think you should apologize, though. Me? Yes. You go tell Stevie that you're sorry if you said anything that hurt his feelings. I'm sure he just wants to be your friend. I don't think so. I don't think those boys want to be my friend. My dad then said, some people have a strange way of going about making friends. You should still apologize, Opal. Yes, sir. And then I remembered Carson. Daddy, Do you know anything about Amanda Wilkinson? Well, what kind of thing? Do you know something about her and somebody called Carson? Well, Carson was her brother. He drowned last year. He's dead? Yes. His family is still suffering a great deal. How old was he? He was 5, said the preacher. He was only 5 years old. Daddy, how could you not tell me about something like that? Other people's tragedies should not be the subject of conversations. There was no reason for me to tell you, Opal. Well, it's just that I needed to know because it helps explain Amanda, and no wonder she's so pinch-faced. What's that? Asked the preacher. Nothing, I said. All right, good night, India Opal, the preacher said. And then he leaned over and he kissed me, and I smelled the root beer and the strawberry and the sadness all mixed up together in his breath. He patted Winn Dixie on the head, and then he got up and turned off the light, and he closed the door. I didn't go to sleep right away. I just laid there and thought that life, what it was like for Miss Lazinge. How the sad and the sweet and the sad were all mixed up together, and how hard it was to separate that. Must have been confusing. Daddy, I shouted. And after a moment, he opened the door and raised his eyebrow at me. What was that word you said? That word that you said, Dad, meant sad? Melancholy. Melancholy. I repeated it. I liked the way it sounded, like there was music hidden behind it. Melancholy. Good night now, the preacher said. Good night, I told him back. I got up out of bed and I unwrapped a Miss Lazinge and I sucked on it really hard and I thought about my mama leaving me. That was a melancholy feeling. And then I thought about Amanda and Carson. And that made me feel melancholy too. Poor Amanda and poor Carson. He was the same age as Sweetie Pie. But he would never get to have his 6th birthday. Whew. Winn Dixie is pretty. What a story. I'll see you guys later. Have a great day.